Hello and welcome to After Dark with Dr. Mike. I'm Dr. Mike, and sitting across from me is Marty Menez, the man behind the machine, the genius, the man who's going to take us to Mars and back. I know it. How you doing, Marty?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent, excellent. And of course, our news lady, Gwen, who will be going over our hot spots, and she's got some weird shit tonight.
All degrees of weirdness and total stupidity.
Ah, indeed.
Human behavior and animal.
But you must remember a very wise saying, there is no cure for stupidity. It is terminal.
It's called ugly.
Yes. So let's go ahead and start out tonight with our hot spots, and what do you got?
Oh, my goodness. Well, before we get started with that, Dr. Mike, you have to tell your listeners when they hear the intro, get on the phone, call your friends, text, email, whatever you do, get the word out and invite your friends, loved ones, or people you don't even like to tune in to Dr. Mike. The world will be a better place because they'll smile and everybody will have a good time. So that's always
I
a good
agree
thing.
with you, but you just told them. So that's all good.
Well, yeah, do what I just said.
There you go.
All right, there you go. Okay, let's start in Colorado, which usually we've noticed like a lot of news stories. If there's weirdness involved, you hang in there long enough, it backtracks to an origin or a seedling in Colorado.
Well,
almost everything.
I agree with you, but before you read this first story and get started, I have to say this. I agree with the legalization of marijuana in Washington State, Colorado, California, and a few other places. But this story is an example of what happens when you smoke and or eat too damn much marijuana. So are you ready over there?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay. This was just posted like 42 minutes ago. And it's by David Moyer. And it says, defending yourself in a court case is rarely recommended, but appointing a stuffed owl as your lawyer is really bird-brained. Nevertheless, that's who or what Charles Abbott brought as his attorney when he appeared in an Aspen, Colorado courtroom on Tuesday, the Associated Press reports. Abbott is accused of violating a protection order involving his former roommate Michael Stranahan, not the football player. The order was filed after Abbott allegedly assaulted Stranahan at an AA meeting. And those of you who don't know AA, it's Alcoholics Anonymous.
Drunk fight.
Which might give you some indication of why this guy did what he did.
Ooh, snap.
Stranahan said Abbott violated the order by going to Stranahan's home to retrieve belongings when the victim was out of town, according to KWGN.com. In court, Abbott placed a fuzzy stuffed owl at the defense table and told the judge that the owl, named Solomon, I guess for wise, would be his legal counsel until a public defender was assigned to the case, the Aspen Times reports. This is crazy. He's a very sensitive guy and has law degrees from Yale, Harvard, and Stanford. Talking about the owl.
That's one damn smart owl. Very wise.
Very wise, yes. Abbott told the judge, according to the paper, I think he'll be able to represent me before a public defender comes online. Of course, you can go to the website to see the owl. It looks actually like a cat sitting on the defense table. The judge ignored the owl, who had little to say during the proceedings, but asked Stranahan if he'd amend the court order to allow mediation. Stranahan declined, saying he didn't feel safe being in close proximity to Abbott, so the hearing ended with the order still in place. However, Abbott is allowed to attend the same church, provided he doesn't initiate contact. The owl had no comment.
That's actually sad. Usually I have some really weird comment to make, but that's really sad because poor little stuffed owl with all those degrees from Harvard, Yale, and Stanford, and he's a lawyer, and he's not allowed to speak or he can't speak. At least I believe this guy probably truly believed that. He probably smoked about 7 blunts before going to church, or, well, church too for that matter, before going to court or any other. I mean, I can't even come up with a good comment on that. That was so damn bizarre.
Well, what I want to know is, did the owl do it pro bono?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Or was he going to receive a fee for his representation?
Probably a mouse.
Maybe.
Yeah, little pinky, as they call them. But anyway,
What the hell? Okay.
Okay, he did say something because the owl, the press kind of converged on this guy carrying his owl, and they directed it to the owl and said, Solomon, what do you think? What's your defense going to be for your client, Abbott, Mr. Abbott? And the owl turned his head almost around and said, who? Ba-dum-bum.
Okay then.
Okay.
I like the shocked look on your face sometimes,
Next.
Marty.
All right. This is another little animal one. You want the donkey one or you want Kmart one?
Hey, let's do the donkey.
The donkey, it's not what you think.
Oh, like I have a terrible
Okay.
mind or something?
Donkey murder dust up by Reuters. Reuters came out with this.
Oh.
No, Google is not a donkey killer. The internet giant went on the defensive after a Google Street View image that looked as if the Street View car, those little cars they dispatch all over the world to do
to make
their
maps and all
satellite,
that,
their maps, it looked like the Street View car had run over a donkey in Botswana. Began making
Jesus.
the rounds on Twitter, but appearances can be deceiving. Google released additional images taken by the car that show the donkey was merely dozing or enjoying a dust bath and safely got out of the way in time. I'm pleased to confirm the donkey is alive and well, a Google product manager wrote on the Google Maps blog.
Well, that kind of gives you the impression that either these guys were hauling ass down the highway or the road or the dirt road, and they just happened to make sure the donkey got out of the way in time, like it saw him or heard him and jumped up. Google probably would have run that poor donkey over.
I don't know. Donkeys are cute.
No, Google translated from ancient Sumerian into Greek, then into Latin, means donkey killer.
Donkey killer?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was something else.
Well, if you go one step further into Old English, it means he who mates with fish of the small stream.
What?
I know, it's all bullshit. Marty, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with a bullshit on that
Okay,
one.
thank you. Thank you.
Bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right. Now we'll go on to the green light special. What?
you. Green light
Yeah.
special. Is that like a blue
Kmart.
plate special in San Francisco?
Blue light specials
Yeah.
for Kmart? Seattle, Washington, through Associated Press. Weed may be legal in Washington state, but this is probably not what people had in mind. A whopping 10 pounds, yes, I said 10 pounds of pot was accidentally delivered to a Kmart in Seattle. Someone's using him as a ghost mail address. Police confiscated the pot in the Kmart store, which was mistakenly delivered from L.A. You think? Apparently,
shit.
it was bound for Philadelphia, but was sent to the return address instead, which for some reason was a Kmart. The package was wrapped in Korean newspaper that had been soaked in cleaning fluid, presumably to mask the smell. It's doubtful you'll find pot in Kmart stores near you, but it's worth checking. The prices probably can't be beat.
10 pounds of weed?
Yes, sir.
You can make all kinds of cookies and brownies and stuff out of that, not to mention straight smoking. But if it had cleaning fluid, unless the pot was surrounded in plastic, then I could see the logic in that. Otherwise, it'd probably burn the hell out of you if you smoked it.
10 pounds. I can't get over the amount.
Oh,
10 pounds. I mean, what would that fit into?
What? A pot? That's actually a hell of a lot of pot for 10 pounds.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We could probably go through that, the three of us. What do you think? In a week?
No, that's not my question.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
How much? I mean, what kind of box? What are we looking at to ship that sucker?
Well,
What size?
I don't know. I've seen
Talking
some.
about like a new shoe box?
No. I've
More
seen
than that?
I've seen 50-pound bags of marijuana at some of the dispensaries, and it's like a freaking duffel bag, okay, and it's compressed. So you're probably talking about a good-sized box.
Okay. I guess I'll have to accept that.
But who would turn it in? I'm okay. I'm not saying me. It was just slipped out there. If I worked at Kmart and I opened a box and it was full of 10 pounds of pot, and you look at it and you know it's pot, you smell it's pot, I would have said, "Oh, this is a mistake. I got to put it in my car and take it back to where it goes." That's what I'm saying.
From a man who's wearing a scrub top with bright green, marijuana green leaves. They look like they're shamrocks, actually, like a St. Patty's Day.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just saying you're into the green.
well, whatever.
Into the green.
I'm not the chef. Okay,
Yeah.
what else you got there?
Okay, another one from Associated Press. Man fakes job and makes money.
Holy crap!
Now,
Tell us about that.
For those of you all who haven't thought of this, might be something to look into. Although I'm not saying personally, I'm just gonna read it.
We do not advocate the use or lying or conning.
Yeah,
Okay.
lots of us sneak peeks at Facebook or the web while at work. But one worker at a U.S. company took the habit to a whole new level. A software engineer identified by the register only as Bob. Okay.
I know him.
Outsource. What's that movie? What's that
What
movie?
About Bob?
What About Bob?
Oh, hell yeah.
Bob. So as Bob outsourced his own work from home job to a Chinese subcontractor that spent his workday checking out posts on Reddit and Facebook, bidding on eBay, and watching cat videos, it worked really well for a while. His company's HR department gave his performance high ratings, and he
Oh my
paid the
God.
subcontractor only a fifth of his salary. Eventually, IT personnel caught on after noticing that someone using the employer's credentials was logging into the company's system from Shenyang, China. They brought in Verizon investigators who figured out the scheme. Bob had apparently outsourced other jobs, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit. I say let him keep the money. Somebody who's that smart, they didn't have any complaints apparently from the work.
Right?
You know, he was just being a capitalist and being an American.
It's like when
Through
you
and through.
sublet your apartment.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say it's subcontractors. I think that's probably what somebody's doing at that new VA hospital up in Denver, the
Holy
Aurora
shit.
campus, that's over budget by $1 billion.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So they're probably got like 5 levels deep into subcontracting.
No, we actually went up there and saw it. We physically saw the VA hospital. And the VA hospital is like 5 buildings in a row. Gigantic. They're bigger than the Denver Health Sciences Center, Anschutz Medical, Children's Hospital. It dwarfs them. It's 5 giant buildings. 2 of the buildings look like they're probably finished. 3 of them are shells. I mean, there's nothing done.
And they're like matchboxes, like stood on their side, one,
Yeah.
and then parking, and then another one, and then parking, and then another one, parking. And I'm like, just the design to me makes no sense because it's a waste. You have to insulate and have, 1, 2, 3, 4 exterior walls for each separate building. Why not put them all together and just have 4 separate separate walls instead of having 20, potentially 20?
20 walls.
I don't get it. I'm just a
You take a look at it
common sense
though,
kind
and
of
when we
person,
went up there and looked at it, all the employees parking had Mercedes SUVs, BMW SUVs, all this stuff. I'm like, these guys are parking because there is no accountability,
Right.
none.
It's
And
like
so-
those $1,000 hammers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so all these
Yeah.
employees, these construction, and God bless them, and construction is a hard job, but they're all driving like Mercedes and Lexus and BMWs. And I'm like, whoa, they must be getting paid good money.
Well, you wonder just how much that trickle down economics doesn't trickle down.
Yeah. A
You
$1
know.
billion hospital should be like a state of the art.
It's like 1.6 billion,
That should be the most state of the art hospital in the western United States.
and it's not even half done.
No, the
not
3
even
of the
half
buildings
done.
are empty shells.
Wow.
It's just crazy.
It's amazing.
It's like one half of a B-2 bomber.
Or 4 or 5 Raptors,
Right.
F-22s.
Right?
I imagine the guy probably
just-
has a island retreat in the Caribbean, probably has a nice cabin in the mountains,
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We probably should be throwing allegedly in there a few
It
times.
is in my personal opinion, which I am legally stated to say, whatever, But
Yeah,
yeah, I imagine there's
allegedly.
all kinds of crap going on there that's
Allegedly.
unbelievable.
I'm.
It's 1 point something billion dollars over budget. There's no allegedly involved.
But for this show, we're gonna say allegedly whatever they're doing with
Right.
it.
It's all based upon conjecture
Yes, we're just
and speculation.
You put 2, and then you get a 4. You're gonna say, I think that middle number is 2, but I'm gonna leave myself some wiggle room. So you're gonna say allegedly 2 plus 2 equals allegedly 4.
Okay, then hypothetically, what are my hands doing under the table right now?
Flipping me off.
No. No, it's much more intimate than that.
Oh, you jackrabbit.
Yeah, there you go.
Got
you
to shake weight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Are you actually recording live this one on camera?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. There
okay,
you go.
let's go.
All right. Well, let's do this. Endangered crabs. Oh Lord. Associated Press. Will we soon see a Save the Pubic Lice campaign?
Oh my God.
The groin-dwelling insects, more commonly known as crabs because of their shape, like we need to be reminded, are now basically an endangered species.
Good.
And doctors think the popularity of bikini waxing may be to blame, think. In Australia, no women have been seen with crabs at Sydney's main sexual health clinic since 2008. And male cases have fallen 80% over the past 10 years. Yeah. Yay. There's nothing wrong with this. This is like balloons. Where are the balloons? My goodness. Pubic grooming has led to a severe depletion of crab louse populations, says a medical entomologist. You can see an environmental disaster in the making for this species.
What the
Holy
fuck?
cow. For manscaping and ladyscaping, they're lady bits and boy bits, I guess. Of course, no one's really mourning the loss. There you go. Some common sense in there. Another medical entomologist notes that in this case, habitat destruction is a good thing. So-called Brazilian waxes, in particular, are seen as contributing to the downfall of pubic lice, since nearly all the pubic hair, the habitat in this case, is removed in that procedure. All in all, more than 80% of U.S. college students remove some or all of their pubic hair these days, Bloomberg reports.
There's nothing wrong with that. Bald is better. No tongue burn, no chin burn. You know, it's all good.
Oh, it's arguably a nicer way of dealing with the crab problem, since the typical treatment is a topical insecticide.
Well, no, in the old days, I don't know about women, but men, they used to say shave half of it off, leave the other half, start a fire, and when they run into the open area, use an ice pick and kill them. Yeah. It's like people had what they call bullhead clap. In the old days, they just take the penis out, put it on a table, take a ball peen hammer and smack the head, get all the nasty juices out, and get going. And these are things that
Allegedly,
Fuck
what? You're going to say
I heard these things.
You heard?
Okay.
Oh, okay. I allegedly believe you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I allegedly heard them, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, if you hit it with a hammer, your days are done.
I don't know.
Yeah.
On Tosh.0 the other night, the guy put his penis in a rat trap and let her rip, quite literally. So I guess people do just about anything.
Yeah.
Now, where the hell did that part of the conversation come from? I don't know. Apparently, there's some part of my brain that's not so good. Let's move on. What else have we got?
Just a little fried, but that's okay.
Just a little.
Okay. This one's X, as in like ex-partner, gets fishy revenge. Breakups can be painful. Not as painful as what we just talked about, but I guess it can be painful. But on the bright side, they can lead to some creative revenge schemes that don't include murder, I guess, since every other TV show, we were talking about that, is crime related. You know,
Yeah.
you have a beef with somebody, it ends up in somebody getting seriously injured and hurt. And so I think this would be maybe people can get their creative outlet in revenge schemes. This is a good idea. A spurned New Zealand woman sold the secret locations to her ex-boyfriend's favorite fishing spots, netting $3,000, which she then spent on herself. New Zealand Stuff magazine, reports that the unnamed ex had entrusted Angela with the locations to his secret fishing holes. But once the fella hightailed it for Australia without much notice, Potter auctioned the information on the web. She expected just a few hits, but instead got nearly 90,000 and
Holy
sold
crap.
the fishy secrets for $3,000. I bet you, allegedly, Jeremy Wade was behind.
Yeah, it's fish.
Our,
It's fish.
our river monsters. So, Putter insisted that she wasn't out to be cruel. Rather, her ex-boyfriend forced her hand when he took off with her luggage. Oh. When he refused to return my suitcase, that's when I sold his coordinates, she said. I didn't list them to be vindictive. I listed them as a bit of a laugh as she laughed all the way to the bank.
No doubt. I don't even have a comment on that one.
That's expensive luggage.
Very expensive.
$3,000.
Expensive. And honestly, I think that revenge scheme probably would hurt a lot more to guys who are really into fishing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, secret location, and only shared it with her, and then she's going to go and then sell them.
Well, you know,
Wow.
Jeremy Wade, if that had been his, he probably would have gutted her and used her as fish chum.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Jeremy Wade's an awesome dude. You ever watch River Monsters?
I've seen it. I think I saw 1 or 2 episodes in the first season.
Have you ever seen it high?
No.
Okay. Has a lot more meaning. It's pretty awesome.
I'm sure.
You can relate to the fish and his actions.
And then he doesn't fish. He just stands on the bank and says, "Here, fishy, fishy, fishy."
You talking about me? Hey, fish. Fish, man.
Hey,
Come
dude, come on over.
on. Come on, man. Check it out. It's all good.
Just don't use the wrong bait.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You talking about the winkle dingle?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. No, that's taking it way too far.
Hey, come here, get it.
Okay. How's dumb as rock? Well, I'll give you a choice. Dumb as rocks or dumbass number 271.
Hey, that sounds like a government file. Let's hear dumbass 271.
Okay. This is by David Moyer. Drunk driving is never good, but a Massachusetts man arrested for operating a vehicle under the influence at least made his arrest easy. He was driving in the police station parking lot. Police in Barnes Noble, Massachusetts, arrested Mr. Sheehan on Friday night after authorities say he drove past 2 large signs that read "Do Not Enter" and "Police Personnel Only" on the wrong lane of the driveway, straight into the back lot of the police station, the Boston Herald reported. Sheehan, 57, was given sobriety test, which he failed.
No doubt.
He was arrested and charged with trespassing and operating under the influence, according to the AP. One of the sergeants said arresting Sheehan was so much easier than the usual drunk driver. Officers just walked him from his car to a holding cell. We didn't even have to transport him,
Oh, my God.
according to UPI. So,
Holy crapola.
yeah, that's kind of bizarro. I wonder how much he had to drink to do that. Not only did he miss the first sign, and then he missed the second sign, he was driving on the wrong side of
That's
the
pretty
lane.
bad.
That's horrible.
I think
Horrible.
he wanted to be caught. Something inside of him said, I want to be caught. Take me.
Well, maybe he was going to the police station or the police department for help. Like he realized he was too far gone.
Well,
Maybe
that is
he'd
the
hurt
first
himself.
stop on the way to the detox center or the state hospital.
Or he was, maybe too far gone to be, driving or staying at home. Maybe he would hurt himself at home. So, of course, he got his keys and let me just drive to the police department. They can help.
We're here to help.
Yeah.
Nah,
Oh, my God.
that's just wrong. Well, what else we got under there besides the owl attorney
Well,
and those other fun things?
We'll do one last one, and this is the dumb as rocks. And this involves a similar situation, but not intoxication. I don't believe. I forgot it. But anyway, Associated Press Salem, Oregon.
It was a witch.
Authorities say a 20-year-old Portland woman drove 50 miles to reach the man she thought was her client after being solicited for prostitution through phone and text messages. But there was something unusual about the destination. It was the Salem Police Department.
Oh.
Yes. Stranger still, police say the woman walked past several uniformed officers and clearly marked signs reading Salem Police Department before arriving at an unmarked door where they say she attempted to contact the man she thought was her client. Instead, she was arrested. The phone and text messages were part of a sting operation by Salem police detectives who first identified the woman through a website. The January 11th arrest led to charges of prostitution and promoting prostitution for Miss Smith of Portland.
I'm sure her name was Miss Smith. I mean, obviously.
Well, yeah, her middle initial was D, but I'll leave out the first name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just leave her a shred of decency, although I don't know if she actually deserves it. Would you, if you're doing something, it doesn't have to be prostitution. It could be just anything that you're doing something illegal and you show up and you're supposed to deliver something or give something and you know that you're in the wrong and you could be arrested, and you go and it ends up at a police department. You walk in the police department, walk past police officers so that you can still deliver your package or provide services or whatever you're doing. Your package, you know.
Well, some cops are, kinky that way. I don't know. Maybe.
Don't they all don't most of them have cars?
Well,
I'm thinking they're parking lots.
Right? Well, and I don't think she can get away with saying that it was entrapment either. I mean,
No, she delivered herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Packaged and wrapped in a bow. Say, here I am. Here, arrest me. So that's my several degrees, 50 Shades of Weirdness for tonight.
Oh my God.
How's that?
Some of them were just stuff I couldn't even come up with a good comment on. And that was one of them. That was just like stupidity. And there simply isn't a cure for stupidity.
That's like someone reporting that their marijuana was stolen.
Oh, yeah.
I've come across that. They call and they say, my pot was stolen.
Wasn't it? That was cocaine, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was cocaine
Yeah, the guy walked into the police station and said, I want to report a theft. And they said, what's going on? And he said, I was making a deal with this guy, and I gave him the cocaine and gave me the money he left. They said, wait right there. And they came out and got him. And they came out and got him. Yeah, that's what that one was about. I remember you were reading that. And that's sadly stupid.
Yeah. Now, hold on. We want to record this. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, now that we're recording, say that one more time.
Yeah, and they do.
Well, those types of people that you're talking about. When they take them off to jail or off to prison, they put them on the small bus.
The little bus?
Yeah, they put them on the little bus, not the big prison bus, the little one. We want the straps on top and they can hang on and little seat belts for them. They, take me away to jail. Oh, boy, I'm going to get raped. But whatever,
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes.
Oh, my God.
Do we have to do this PC crap on everything now?
No, I think we should probably have like a disclaimer in the front. Something like the theories heard on Dr. Mike's show are based on speculation and conjecture, but may not be the only solution to the mysteries that we examine.
Or like cops, cops, bad boys. They have all people, arrested are not necessarily guilty. In fact, we assume that they're innocent. But when you watch the show, they are being headbanged and thrown against cars and handcuffed, and you say, oh, this guy did what he's being, we saw him, I think he's guilty,
right? And
they have this disclaimer, and it's just, you just have to, I'm sure it's because of probably lawsuits and things like that.
Well, I think if you put a disclaimer, you should put in parentheses Occam's razor. What seems to be the simplest and best answer usually is. Okay, so fuck the disclaimer. It's there, but
So if you see a guy, so if you see if you see someone passing something, they see the cops, and they start, I won't say running, but because of Ferguson, I don't want to say that, but which I guess I just did, but I'm trying to be
cares?
sensitive. No,
Well-
I'm trying to
well,
be
if they're-
sensitive
if
in this day and age.
If they're on video running out of the store, which is clearly closed, and they're not using like the front door, they're using like the
What used
the
to be a window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're coming out of the store with a
TV. Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah,
I don't know.
again, you put 2 plus the alleged 2, and you're going to come up with it looks like 4.
right.
You know, so
I'm
yeah,
not saying that they are looting, but it looks like they're
certainly
looting.
looks that way.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, before we get into our subject for tonight, I think the best story that made me happy today was Gwen was talking about this preacher, and he's one of those fire and brimstone. I hate gays. God hates gays. Gay marriage is going to kill America. Gays this, gays that. To get rid of the gays. Well, somebody found his personal emails and messages on the Grindr.
On Grindr.com.
Grindr.com.
And he was outed.
And he was outed. This guy was a flaming, butt-bouncing homosexual, okay? I was like...
Which there's
yay.
nothing wrong with that, but don't go around saying,
Exactly.
oh, you know, you're going
That's
to
my
burn in
point.
hell and everything. I mean, to each his own. I don't judge, but don't go around and wag your finger in my face or in somebody else's face and saying you're going to burn in hell. What you're doing is an abomination and all this other crap. And the people who scream the loudest about this stuff are usually the ones that are going home and doing it.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Those who
Whew,
scream
a little
loudest...
hot here.
Yeah, those who scream the loudest are usually the ones doing it.
Yes.
That's the stone cold truth. And my thing about it is, I have several friends who are gay.
Yep.
And they don't go around doing this or saying that. They live their life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're a very flamboyant, I'm doing it, and I'm a Rock Hudson, I'm doing, 40, 50, 60 guys, and you're screaming at the same time, gays should be put away, gays should have their own place, no gay marriage and this and that, and you're doing the very same thing and probably considerably worse.
It's
Come
worse
on.
because you're
You're a hypocrite, a
condemning,
liar.
Yeah, and you're condemning other people, and it's almost like that position of trust.
Right.
You're in a position as being leading a flock that are watching for your spiritual guidance, their spiritual guidance, and you're supposed to be kind of espousing spiritual word and the Bible and the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is love and tolerance.
Right.
And you start doing this Bible thumping, and it's just, I just think it's the worst that a person can do.
Because right, there is no love, there is no tolerance,
No.
there is any,
And
if
it's
anything,
guilt.
Yeah.
But you're Bible thumping with this, and you're butt thumping with this. Yo, okay, Andrew Dice Clay would appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right.
That was yeah, we saw that today. So I think he's from Michigan. I forgot his name, but
It would have made me much more
very-
happier if he's from Kansas or Indiana. But, I'm sure they're doing it too. All righty then.
it's just an example.
A true example.
And did you want to finish up a little bit, or did you want to do some, since I've kind of hogged the whole weird thing, did you want to do bizarre professions? Or did you want to do some...
No, we can save that because we got a lot more shows to do.
Ah, that's true. That's
So
true. Okay.
tonight, basically, what I want to talk about is something I've been seeing a hell of a lot about on TV lately, and that's aliens, alien beings, alien creatures. And the first couple things I like to start out with is plain and simple. Earth is one planet in one solar system, and a galaxy with hundreds of thousands and hundreds of millions of other planets. And for us to think that we are the only living, intelligent creatures in this entire universe is pure arrogance, along with pure ignorance, along with just blatant stupidity. Because Carl Sagan, the great astronomer and scientist Carl Sagan, said, and you probably know this better than I do, Marty, because you're way up more on this stuff, science and math and stuff. I ain't no mathematician, but he was talking about if you take all the galaxies, just the ones that we know of, just the ones we see with the Hubble telescope and this new telescope that's up there, and you were to take all of those places And then you take all the possibilities of life, of planets, suns like ours, whatever, and you take away 90% from each one of those hypotheses, and you go down the list, you leave 10% here, 10% here, you will still be talking about hundreds of millions of planets that would be habitable. That's after you've taken away 90% probabilities and just go with 10%. That's what you've got left. If you were to put it all together, you're talking about billions of planets. And for us to say there's no other intelligent life in this universe just proves that as a whole, we must be some dumbass people, because there are intelligent creatures, and there's more than enough evidence dating back from Alexander the Great and pre-Alexander the Great all the way up to today that says there is something there. Plain and simple. There's something there that's visiting, that's coming, that's going, etc., etc., etc. So yes, there has to be extraterrestrial life and possibly even interdimensional life.
Well, Carl Sagan wouldn't have created the disk that went on to Voyager if he didn't believe that he was going to come across an extraterrestrial civilization.
Absolutely.
Because at that point, it's like, what's the sense? If you truly don't believe that it's going to come in contact with extraterrestrials, why are you going through the effort to put this record together, which has music, which has sounds of a baby crying, which has, I believe, sounds of the ocean as well.
Oh, yeah.
And as well as the location of Earth and what man and what woman looks like on our planet. And why would he do that if he didn't believe that there were extraterrestrials out there? Not only that, but someone that he was friends with, a man named Drake, from the famous Drake equation, which postulates that absolutely there is no doubt whether there is an extraterrestrial civilization out there. In fact, most mainstream astronomers, they feel that there is extraterrestrial life out there, but they don't believe that they have the ability to come here. So that's where they're at now, never realizing that, you know, it's a possibility that there are extraterrestrials within our own solar system.
Absolutely.
We may have some here on Earth.
Absolutely.
That,
You take a look at the plains of Nazca in South America, okay? Take a look at the giant thrones in some of the Mayan cities. And you take a look at what was written and pictures and art dating from Sumeria, from Babylonia, from art. You take a look at art that was in the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. Many of them have UFOs, flying saucers, whatever you want to call them, extraterrestrial craft, in those paintings. And a lot of the, like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, wrote in their personal notes that while they were doing this, this thing came and hovered, or this thing flew by, and they thought, well, maybe it's a sign from God. You know, who knows? So I'll put it in the painting. And when you look at them, when they focus in on those, they look almost eerily like many of the things that we see today.
Yep.
You know, and let's take that around back to Drake and Carl Sagan that you were saying. Why would President Reagan make a speech saying that with all the problems on Earth and all this type, and you can look it up on YouTube and several other places, what would it take if we knew there was a threat from outer space to pull all the countries together to unite to defend it? And the man was serious about it. He wanted to do the Star Wars project, all these different things. What did he know, or what did the government know that we didn't know? Supposedly there are friendly aliens, and supposedly there are hostile aliens. Supposedly there are humanoid aliens, and supposedly there are reptilian aliens. If you take a look on Facebook, After Dark with Dr. Mike, one of the sites I have on there, I have a thing on there called Aliens Guide A through Z. And it's supposedly dating back from thousands of years before Rome, Greece, Egypt, whatever, all the way to today, of different types of aliens that people have allegedly seen and that are in Native American lore, Egyptian lore, Greek, Roman, Sumerian. Sumerians have a lot of stuff. I mean, buku stuff about aliens and spacecraft and Mayans and the Incas.
The
It's
Nazcas.
amazing. The Nazcas, absolutely. They had one. Did you know that where these Nazca things were found, these giant runways and bugs and things, and thousands, there's over 1,000 things. And Dinkin wrote the book Chariots of the Gods that goes into this. Did you know that the Nazca people had the largest city civilization of Mayans, Incas, and Aztec combined? It would be like New York City compared to the other civilization that came later. How could they possibly have done that? And the things that were put on the Nazca Plain can only be seen from several hundred feet and some several thousand feet above the plain. Did they have helicopters? Did they have balloons? They had none of those things that we know of.
Right.
They obviously had some kind of craft to be able to look down and tell the people, do this, do that, make this, make that. I mean, it's
Perfect lines.
perfect, absolutely perfect in every way.
Absolutely. And you have to ask yourself as well, if they did have the technology to do that just based upon mathematics, why did they do it? Was it part of a belief system? And why did they believe in these entities to create these things? It has to stem from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have like carvings of bugs, spiders, snakes. They have carvings of people. They have carvings of a man who's wearing a round helmet with eyes, who has like little
Looks like
clips.
astronaut.
Looks like exactly like
they
an
call
astronaut.
it an astronoid, is it?
Yeah, astronoid, because they're not sure exactly what it's supposed to be. But they measured it from like 1,000 feet, and from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet is 9 football fields long. Now, 9 football fields long. And some dude's down there like, well, I guess I better get started. It's going to take a while to do this. And he's just scraping the ground as he goes. How does he know exactly what he's making?
Right.
There's no way.
And these lines aren't deep.
They're
All
not
they're
deep at all.
doing is moving the rocks over.
Right. They're moving the rocks over, getting down, because it's basically rust from the oxide and stuff that's in the soil. And the top part is dirt, and they move it over. They make these perfect lines and pictures and things.
And angles.
And
There's
angles,
a
geometric.
triangle that's perfect.
Mhm.
It's not a right angle, but it's a
Well, they have the
Perfect angles
geometric
and
design in the
degrees.
center of one of the places, and it's 11 football fields long, and the lines are perfect, even from satellites. And I guess the United States Navy has some really wicked stuff out there that we don't even know about, but they use it to measure stuff. And they said that this gigantic 11 football field long square with designs in the middle are perfect. They're not off by a foot or an inch or a millimeter. They're perfect.
Right.
And they're 11 football fields long.
And not only that, but they chose to do so in a place on the planet where there is next to no rainfall,
Yep.
to where they know that what they're etching into the desert floor is going to be there almost forever.
when it has been
So,
for
yeah.
a long.
Well,
So
Von
they're
Daniken
choosing
says
this.
Von Daniken took a shot in the dark and said they were based on his studies. He's a very intelligent man. They're 12,000 years old. 12,000 years old. I remember when they said the most ancient civilization known to man was Egypt, and then all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, then there was Samaria. Oh, well, then there was Mesopotamia. Oh, and yeah, we found a Viking one that was 10,000 years old. And just recently in the news, there's one that they found in Spain that was a gigantic metroplex that had been buried under years of rain and mud and volcanoes and stuff, that was 75,000 years old, and its ground coverage area was about the size of Denver, Colorado. Now,
Wow.
that many people 75,000 years ago able to build a city like that, and they found observatories in it with markings on the wall that when they actually turned this stone that was based on a water, it was set into a trough with like water, and the pure pressure caused the water to compress, which made it very easy to turn this, and each little symbol would line up with Venus, Mars, constellations, and other things, including stars that lined up with certain roadways or runways, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
that was inside that city.
Wow.
What was the purpose? I mean, with these people 75,000 years ago going, okay, we killed the bison today, we killed a long-toothed tiger. What the hell? Let's build an observatory and check out the planet stars and make a runway for something. Who knows what'll happen? You know, and this gigantic metroplex was like, sure, let's make it a community project. I think people who, you know, I hate to bring religion into it, but if you take a look at the New Testament, you take a look at the Vedas out of India and even some Buddhist things, what was one of the biggest things that their prophets said at the end of their time on earth? When they said Jesus ascended up into heaven, he just like was there and went up.
Right.
He said, they said, please stay with us. You know, you've risen from the grave, stay with us. And he said, I cannot, for there are other places that I need to be that are not of this earth. And he didn't like dig a hole in the ground. He didn't like start walking off into the distance. He went up into the air. In the Vedas, the same thing happened to their prophets. When their
Wow.
time was over, the battles and the land was done and all. You have to read the Vedas. I mean, it's some really in-depth stuff. They said, where are you flying off to? And they were in machines. And they said, we have to go to other places. And they took off. You know, and Buddhist belief has the same types of things. And you tell me there's not aliens? There's not other life forms? Let's not call them aliens. Whether they're interdimensional or interplanetary, whatever. There are other creatures out there.
Yeah.
We can't be the only things in the universe.
Well, I don't even think we know all of the creatures that live on our planet right now.
No,
That's right.
we
They're
killed a hell of a lot
always-
of them, though.
Yeah.
What, 12 species a month are being destroyed, becoming extinct because of all this burning the rainforest and these, what's those sugar,
Oh, the palm
oil has wiped out
Wiped.
over 100 species extinct on the islands they're doing it.
Wow.
They're destroying like acres and acres and acres of rainforest and certain islands so that they can plant. These corporations are going in and planting palm trees for, what is it?
Palm oil.
For palm oil, because almost everything is, you know, and contains it. And they can't keep up with the demand. And so, do you watch the series Vice?
I don't.
That
Vice is an awesome.
amazing
It's on HBO.
show.
It's also on
started-
YouTube.
It started out on an online, and Bill Maher is executive producer, and they go and they pick different things, and they're saying how we're running out of antibiotics, and so they're going into these rainforests and sending scientists to sit there and find new species of life and plant life and fungi and all of these different things or bacterium, so that they can try to find new antibiotics because
they
these
need 'em.
superbugs.
That's right.
Well, you got to take
They're
a look
becoming
at
resistant.
Yes.
You got to take a look at this. In all of our planning and all of our knowledge and all of our needs that we have in medicine today, with all the hundreds of doctors that graduate, every graduation from schools, and of the tens of thousands of doctors and surgeons we have, how many doctors currently are botanist trained? I'm talking, they got their MDs or their DOs, MD and DO, same thing. They got their degrees, they did their medical school, they passed it, they became working doctors, respected doctors. How many of doctors out of the well over 300,000 practicing here alone, how many are botanists that can go out and find these things? Do you know?
It's probably a very low number.
2.
Wow.
2 registered MD, DO medical people are actual botanists. 2 out of the hundreds of thousands of doctors that we have. And they are keeping quite busy trying to find this stuff. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. You know, we need it. We have to have it. But we've only got 2 active doctors that can do it. You know, it's amazing.
And there are so many unexplored places on the planet and so many places where human beings really don't go. And that might just be our own safety net, so to speak, because I kind of agree with George Carlin when he would talk about, you know, people coming out and saying we need to save the earth. And, you know, he said that Well, the Earth is fine. What are you talking about? The Earth has been here for billions of years.
Yes.
Now, we, on the other hand, we might be going somewhere, but the Earth will still be around.
And probably be better off after we're gone.
Well,
because we're really mucking it up right now.
Well, I think that things kind of take care of themselves. Whatever the predominant species is on the planet, whether it be a dinosaur or a human being or whatever it may be,
cockroach.
Once it reaches a sort of critical mass, I think there's a sort of self-correcting algorithm that the Earth has, whether it be a super bug that comes along that
the
wipes
plague
out
or something. Yeah.
Whatever it is, it just kind of takes care of itself, that it realizes that something needs to happen and the population is a little too high, and then next thing you know, there's this incident and there's only, I don't know, a couple thousand of them left.
Yeah.
The Earth has seen that before, which might even be one of the reasons why we have this lost history. This history that we don't understand. The history that, was Atlantis real?
Oh, yes.
Because obviously the human race is a lot older than we could even imagine.
Yes.
Because we know that mankind has been here a lot longer than we think.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are many political reasons, especially once you get into the ivory towers of academia. There are reasons why they don't want you to have certain information. One of the really good books that you might want to read, it's called Forbidden Archaeology by a man named Michael Cremo. Awesome book, and he goes into a lot more detail. One of the things that they found is a gold chain in a chunk of coal. And this is a handmade link of gold chain within a chunk of coal dated at 300 million years. So that in itself tells you one of two things. Either dinosaurs were making gold jewelry.
I think Tyrannosaurus Rex were pretty good at it. Those little hands.
Yeah.
They're very intricate.
Well,
either that
like
or
T-Rapper, not T-Rex, T-Rapper.
Right. Or the human race has been around a lot longer than we realize, and something has happened to where we've lost that.
Well, according to the Vedas, again, according to the Atlantean theory, we had great and wonderful, fantastic cities, flying machines, power sources, greater than electrical, and all this bunch of stuff, and then they fell, and we went back to a primitive state. And other ones come. And this is a theory that existed so long ago, before there was a church, before there was people saying, like, what was it? Oh my goodness. The Republican candidate out of Indiana said the earth is only 7,000 years old because the Bible says it. And I go back to this statement he made, and I'm looking through the Bible, and like, it doesn't say that on March 1st,
Right.
6,000 BC, God built a planet. There's nothing like that. Where did they get that from?
Out of his posterior, I imagine.
Well, like Ted Cruz saying that gay marriages causes 900,000 abortions. Dude, 2 guys, 2 women can't make babies. No
Not gonna
abortions.
happen.
And my personal opinion, he receives the Darwin Dumbass Award for this week. But yes, absolutely, I agree 100%. I believe civilization of man has been around for a very, very long time. Very long time. And there's proof. And there are many who will not allow that proof to be out there.
Exactly.
When the scientists found the skeletons of giant men averaging 15 feet tall in the country of Georgia outside of Russia, and was bringing the bones back for analysts, they were confiscated, and the area sealed off by military troops. And nope, can't come here anymore. Sorry, this is a protected site now. All the history that's here will stay here. Why? What was so important that they couldn't bring it out?
Same thing happened in the Grand Canyon when they discovered the bones of red-haired giants, and they actually sent them to a university. And
those ones that disappeared from the university. Yes,
completely.
I read about that when I actually was getting my PhD. I read an article about that. They went to get the bones, and they were no longer there. They had simply disappeared.
Wow.
The museum couldn't explain it.
Michael Cremo goes into a lot more detail, but he also explains that there are plenty of artifacts within museums and within the halls of academia that prove our history is far richer than we've been told.
Yes.
But no one really wants to talk about it. Nobody really wants to give you information. Who knows? Maybe knowledge is power, and as long as they're the ones with the knowledge, they retain the power.
Well, we're
absolutely.
we're based on Judeo-Christian values. I mean, our country. So when you look at anything that's going to rock the boat
Question
in
it.
terms of how, Genesis and the beginnings of man and the Garden of Eden and the earth, being, God creating the heavens and the earth, I suspect you're going to get a lot of that no.
Right.
So anything that says that it was older than that, then that is totally contradictory to a whole lot of people's belief system.
Well, not only
So-
that, ISIS, the Islamic State, what are they doing in the countries they're taking over? They're destroying
their-
all the artifacts, the museums, the ancient buildings.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Because it
they would do
questions.
that.
It questions them, and it's amazing.
Maybe they're under instructions to do so.
Yeah, I
Well,
believe
there's
that.
no evidence. It's almost like what they taught us in medical school. If it's not written down, it didn't happen.
Right.
If there's no evidence, then, oh well.
If there aren't any Polaroids, it never happened.
Exactly. So
yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it. So
Well, wasn't there a report that came out, and this was, I believe, in the early 60s. It was a Brookings Institute report that basically came out and said that if it were known that there was a possibility of extraterrestrial life forms, and if humankind knew that they were not alone, that it may just destroy us.
Well, absolutely. All religious beliefs, all structured belief systems, technology, everything would be questioned. It would be thrown out the window. We'd have to start over and say, why? And I had spoken to a man when I was in Denver, working in Denver, and he had told me, I said, well, what would you do? What would you do if spaceships came from outer space and aliens came out and said they wanted to talk to us? Now, this guy was a fanatical, ultra-right-wing Christian, and I'm sure it would apply to any other fanatic of any religion. I said, what would you do then? There's proof. He goes, well, obviously it would be an illusion from Satan. I said, spaceships, little people, big people coming, talking, showing us. He goes, all illusion from Satan. I said, well, if it's an illusion from Satan and they have the technology, is like Satan giving us like MP3 players and CD players and all these fun things, Because if it's an illusion, it sure as hell is working,
yeah.
And I just, you can't get through to people like that. I have a person that told me everyone is entitled to their opinion, even if they are wrong. I'm like, oh, well, let's going to start this conversation with an open mind, aren't we? So absolutely. But I do believe everything you have said tonight, everything you've said tonight in regard to this extraterrestrial or interdimensional, whatever you want to call them, I truly believe that they have been here, they are here, will be here, and there is some type of contact with those in power with them. That's what I believe.
You never know. Maybe they're in contact with people who aren't in power.
That'd be even better.
Well, I think
I'd
that's
hook
where a
up.
lot of those stories come from, are from
Exactly.
everyday regular people that
Well-
lost time, and they have recurring dreams or nightmares, whatever the case may be, and that they lose a period of their time and they see things, that can't be explained. And I'm not talking, mental issues, talking, check off everything else. And there seems to be, the corresponding like bright lights or unexplained things that were around that area where they disappeared. And, yeah. I think there's more everyday people that the aliens out there are reaching out to.
Exactly, because if you think about it, consider this for a moment. I think that only dark forces, dark entities, would even remotely consider going to a governmental agency. Okay, because anybody or any extraterrestrial being that has any sort of intelligence whatsoever is going to take a look at our situation. I mean, we beam this stuff out into the air, whether it be on satellites, radio, television, whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
It's getting out there. Any extraterrestrial entity with half a brain, would realize that the governmental agencies, entities that we have, are for the control of the masses.
Of course.
And it's clear, it's blatant. And so only the dark entities would be interested in interfacing with them. The ones who were positive and who wanted to help mankind and make positive change, or to be of assistance in a positive way, would reach out to individuals, not into a group of power brokers, because the power brokers are exactly that. They want to keep it for themselves and have no interest in benefiting the human race. It's themselves.
It's just funny that it just crossed my mind that dark and positive entities and how they would reach out, what you were just saying. I thought for a second, that's what Jesus Christ did. He was a positive entity, and he reached out to everyday people.
Exactly.
He didn't go to the powerful. He didn't go to the government. He didn't go to the people who...
Exactly.
Yeah. So...
In fact, he did everything to counteract what the government was doing.
Mm-hmm.
They were interested in robbing people through, the money changers, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
There was a reason why even the religious power brokers at the time despised him, and they had no problems working with the governmental agencies to kind of squash his message, because how dare you empower the people and cause our power loss?
Exactly.
Well, Gandhi did the same thing, and Gandhi even talked about a great deal of the same type of stuff that was in the Vedas, and talked about extraterrestrial beings and interdimensional beings and unity of all people, of all status, of all power. And what happened to him? He was assassinated by one of his own personal security officers, shot him to death. And when they questioned him, he said, well, he was I'm not going to mention any particular Islamic thing. There's enough of that going on. But he said he was told to.
Mm-hmm.
And this had been his security person for many, many decades.
Right.
And he just turned around during his walk and shot him 3 times in the chest and walked away. So I was told to. Wow.
Mm.
Why is it that the assholes live forever and good people die very quick?
That's a whole nother show.
Exactly.
True enough. But before we go, I would like to say this. Here in Colorado, in the San Luis Valley, they say there's one of the largest, most active areas in the world for UFOs.
Very true.
And they've actually got UFO watchtowers down there. There's been situations where the highways and roads have been blocked by National Guard and State Patrol and helicopters coming in. Some big secret, weird, strange stuff.
As well as cattle mutilations.
And lots of that type of stuff with no tracks or anything. It's like the cow's just there. And I told Gwen, I said, we should go down there. Just go down there and just get abducted. Get abducted, man.
You want to get probed? Is that what you're saying?
I don't care what they do, as long as I can come back with some kind of like the old Blue Oyster Cult, take me away. One man's dream may be another man's nightmare. And I wouldn't mind it. I'd be like, hey, okay, well, you got me. I got a list here of medical things. Can you help me out here? Okay, work it up. Take me back. I'll talk about it, I think it would be cool. But the 3 of us would go down there, get abducted, and all of us would have a different story to tell. I'd be like, oh, my stuff's gone. She'd be like, oh, I feel so much better. You'd be like, oh, damn. How big was that probe? No, I'm just messing with you, Marty. I always mess with you. So I guess for now, I think that the next show that we do, we should talk about death. Spirits, demons, and angels, and all these types of things and beliefs. get back to the heart and soul of what After Dark was all about. And for people out there, tell your friends and your neighbors and other folks, we've already got something set up with Red Crags, which is supposed to be one of the most haunted places in Colorado. Also, the fire department here, which has a massive amount of history behind it for hauntings and death and stuff like that. And I have several other things set up, which, of course, will fall into your lap as the master engineer. And so we got some really good shit going on. It's going to be happening. And we're getting back to the heart and the soul of the show. Weird, strange, bizarre, macabre, paranormal. And conspiracies. And we're filming it. We're watching it. We're seeing it. And we're telling it. You know?
But you won't know until you tune in. So you got to tune in. Unless
you are truly a psychic, which there are very few of. But if you do, then you'll know. And if you do, tell me, and we can maybe make the show a little better. I don't know.
And make sure you hit subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Hit subscribe and like and subscribe. Help us out. Get us going, and we will deliver to you things which you will truly enjoy.
So where can you find it on YouTube?
YouTube.
But what do they plug in?
After Dark, Dr. Mike.
Right.
Okay.
After Dark with Dr. Mike. And also Marty's show, which is called Glue, Glue. That's simple. I can remember that. Glue with Marty Muniz, Muniz, and Marty's common spelling. So check out Glue with Marty Muniz and After Dark with Dr. Mike, which will be me, Marty, and Gwen. And help us grow, and we'll help you be happy. For every third show that you can watch and tell us what it's about, you will receive 1 pound of marijuana. Offer's not valid. Okay.
Only in Colorado.
Only in Colorado, yes. Well, all right.
Not at all, actually. Because I can see people. Yeah, gotta pop that balloon.
They would hold you to it.
They would.
Hey, but you said.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's out on the internet. Yeah. Not cool.
Maybe you could have a contest in Colorado.
Just check out the show. You'll like it.
Try it. You'll like it.
So I hope you enjoyed this episode of After Dark with Dr. Mike. Marty Muniz, thank you so much. You're the man behind the curtain, the man that's running the machines. And Gwen, thank you for the always bizarre and interesting hot spots.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You come up with some shit that I just did not know existed.
It's all true.
I know it's all true. That's what makes it even that much more interesting.
Exactly.
So, until the next show, and after Marty gets to editing the first part of this show, we look forward to seeing you back here on After Dark with Dr. Mike. So check out that and Glue with Marty Muniz. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Good show.
Good night.
Good night.